Wrapping up the battle in the Garden of Kadesh, the Kushan fleet took the next step on its path to the ancient homeworld of Vigara. Due to the apparent limitations of hyperspace technology, these puddle jumps, so to speak, were necessary in order to reach the inner core of the galaxy, with each stone on its journey more treacherous than the last. The fleet arrived in an otherwise unremarkable location, with sparse resources and no notable features, as if a void in between stellar bodies. Upon emerging from the hyperspace pocket, Kushan's sensors picked up an anomaly within the reach of their sensor array. A probe was sent to investigate, weary of prior encounters that had ended up in conflict. Sensor data and visual information from the probe was short, but it was clear that this object was hostile. The main body was of unknown design. Visual information suggested its age. Of curiosity, however, was that there were other vessels of familiar design surrounding this vessel, of Tidan and of tyrannic raider construction. It was decided that a response would be sent out, an armed response. It was already clear that this craft had hostile intentions, the hyperdrive being affected, blocking the Kushan's path. A mixed task force of strikecraft, corvette and frigates were dispatched. Upon engagement, an unknown Taidani destroyer-class vessel was identified, mounting quad missile launchers on the familiar Taidani destroyer base. The ship made short work of the Kushan strikecraft. The threat that this vessel posed paled in comparison, however, to the scale of threat that the primary object had to all of the Kushan fleet. Through means unknown, the frigate complement of the Kushan task force turned their guns on their brethren and would not respond to hail. It was clear that these vessels were no longer under Kushan control. A hasty retreat was ordered, with approximately half of the Kushan number turned to dust. It was decided that in order to continue the journey to Vigara, a solution was needed to this alien vessel. The second Kushan attack was populated exclusively with corvette and strikecraft vessels. They could not wastefully lose so many of their vessels on this distraction. Whilst the strikecraft and corvette fleet would occupy the bulk of these indoctrinated hulks, a group of salvage frigates would subvert the front lines and attempt to board the alien anomaly. What was found within the hulls of the ship is classified, but marine groups returned safely with data on the vessel. Millions of years old, it had been there before the Exodus, without crew, operating through unknown means and unknown intent. It is worth noting that up until modern day periods, no vessel such as this has ever since been located or identified. Attempts were made to recover the lost Kushan frigate. As the salvage crews brought each vessel in and marine teams boarded, searching for the lost crews, they had disappeared, as though they were never on board in the first place. The alien vessel had lost control of each ship's systems, but so had the Kushan. These ships were permanently taken from the Kushan fleet. Taking readings from the alien vessel, science crews devised a new device based on the extreme gravity well that was hampering the mothership on its path. This technology would be of great use in the coming weeks, and not only to the Kushan. The Bentusi would appear and exchange for information on the ghost ship. They would hand over design blueprints for heavier vessels for the Kushan fleet, something which would give them the edge in the coming battle. Again, Karen Sajet cried out to the Bentusi for assistance. They did not respond. Kushan intelligence devised that in order to escape the grip of the ghost vessel, they would need to pour enough firepower into it in order to cause fluctuations within its gravity well. They would not be able to destroy it, only escape onto their next target. The next jump was located on the outskirts of the Taidani Empire. Tidan engineers had set up a series of observation facilities in a halo surrounding their sphere of control. This would allow them to identify any significant incursion within their territory, giving them time to respond accordingly. One such facility was the research station located within the grasp of a supernova's deadly kiss. Its radiation enough to make short work of anything smaller than a frigate. Kushan science teams observed that the local stellar debris, likely cast out from the initial supernova event, was providing enough cover to negate the supernova's deadly radiation field. The supernova itself also generated enough interference to cover a ship's approach and to create pockets of interference for hyperspace technology. This was a crack within the armour of the Taidani Empire. The Kushan demised that the only way to punch a hole through this would be through this location. Upon arrival, Kushan mining teams with the newly commissioned carrier-class vessels would gather the local resources for the upcoming battle, working throughout small pockets of safety within this location. The carriers were used to insert mining teams within these minute bubbles of resources, negating the deadly effect of the supernova. Once established in this area, it was deemed that the carriers would be used to shield strike craft from the radiation. They would use them to hop between the veins of safety, the carrier shielding them as they did this. Larger vessels such as the destroyer and frigate flotilla would accompany the carriers, providing a distraction for Taidani patrols as the carriers inserted a massive strike force upon the research facility in a bid to neutralise it. Taidani vessels were observed to be using as yet unknown classifications of vessels, their technology advantage allowing them to produce self-replicating mine deployers into corvette-sized vessels. This advantage was quickly studied and mimicked by Kushan engineers. Using the veins of stellar dust, the Kushan fleet moved into position, hoping to catch the local Taidani garrison off guard. Patrolling Taidani corvettes and strike craft patrolling the veins were swiftly dealt with before they could return to their base and alert Taidani command to the Kushan presence in the area. As the Kushan fleet approached its target, it encountered what would become one of the most iconic vessels for the war for Higara, the heavy cruiser. A lumbering hulk of alloy bristling with weapons, the Kushan had nothing to match its potent firepower. Mounting 6 heavy mass drivers and 2 twin-linked heavy iron cannons in the forward turrets, they could easily make short work of anything the Kushan had at this time. Even many years after the Kushan-Taidani conflict, they would be able to stand toe-to-toe with more modern comparable designs. As the Kushan pushed through to the research station, a large battle ensued between the garrison and the Kushan fleet. The single Taidani carrier immediately broke off and began to move to an area that was fit for a hyperspace jump. They were moving to alert the Taidani command as to the presence of the Kushan. After a short battle, and with the local Taidani presence neutralised, the Kushan moved to its next target. Cheers for the watch. Please make sure you hit the like and bell button below. If you want to support the channel, you can find the links below. Thanks for bearing with me over this 2-year period. Weekly uploads are now planned. Elite Dangerous is a no-go. However, I got lots of exciting ideas for the coming months. Cheers.